do hardly on this. But Ms. Tebow, I mean, you've been given every opportunity over the last 4 or 5 years to do everything you're supposed to on this probation, and you've refused to do that. You flat out refused, and everybody, we all have different issues that go along with parents and family members and things that go wrong. And instead of, I mean, it looks like.
Today, on Daily Courtroom Drama, we're looking at a case that builds over time and ends with the judge drawing a hard line. This hearing focuses on one defendant dealing with multiple probation violations tied to a failure to comply with sexual offender registration requirements. Over the course of 5 years, the court gave repeated opportunity, missed reports, inconsistent compliances, even prior interventions, but the patterns never changed. What really brings this case to a turning point is what happens near the end. After knowing there was a warrant, the defendant leaves the state, stops reporting entirely, and ends up arrested again in Florida. This decision shifts everything. And from there, the judge makes it clear this isn't about one mistake anymore. It's about consistent refusal to follow the rules.
Okay, this is cause numbers 22-39100 and 22-39101. Are you Letitia Tebow? Mm-hmm. And Ms. Tebow is currently on probation for failure to comply with sex registration in each of these cases. I looked this up. I think there may be, and Ms. Simon's here, this update report says 2 10-year adjudicated probations, but it was a 2-year term.
It was 2 over 5.
2 TDC over 5, correct?
Excuse me, sorry, that was an error.
Okay, just making sure. And so Ms. Tebow was previously here, entered pleas of true to counts 2 and 4 in the motion to revoke probation. And I've received the updated pre-sentence report. Have you all received that updated report?
Yes, state has to.
Any additions or corrections to that other than the one that I already made?
No, from the state. I know.
Man, that defendant looks like she is really concerned about what's about to be coming down the pipeline from that judge. And she's like, oh no, please don't make this bad. Let's continue.
And there was no agreement. Is there any evidence with regard to the other counts, Mr. Hoffpower?
Any new failed to register?
No, I don't know. She pled true to counts 2 and 4, so there's obviously some other counts. Do you have any witnesses or evidence with regard to those other counts?
We're going to full abandon those counts. We'll just proceed on 2 and 4.
Okay.
Other than I call my probation officer, but I like her opinion.
Okay, so I guess there was an arrest in
It's in Florida.
Palatka, Florida. Okay. Hold on a second. Let me.
Putnam County.
Okay, so count 1.
Judge almost looks like she can't believe what she's saying. I wonder what this lady did that got the judge so confused looking.
Why don't you have any evidence with regard to count 1 if your probation officer's here?
We can call. I'm sorry. Apologize, Your Honor.
Ma'am, would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. You may proceed.
Ms. would please take the name for the record, please.
Sarah Simon.
I'm a son of you, the probation officer, assigned Ms. Tebow.
I am.
Okay, and how long have you been first supervision officer?
1.5 years.
Okay, and throughout the time that you've been a probation officer, has you complied with the terms of her condition? In either one of the cases?
Speak up, please. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, she has not.
She's not.
Yeah, okay, in what instances does she not comply?
Steve-O has had consistent reporting habits. She was not paid towards her process fees. And she lived within the 2 years.
Was she allowed, first of all, was she allowed through her probation here in Texas to venture out of the state and be in Florida?
She did not.
Okay, she wasn't allowed?
She was not allowed.
Is she allowed through her reporting as a sex offender to move or go to?
It's crazy how many people get themselves in so much more trouble just by simply not following the rules they agreed to. It's crazy.
Another state and how many probation?
That was,
I mean, is she allowed to leave the state?
not without.
She pled true to that. Count 1 is that she has not reported since January 27th of 2025.
Is that true, now that she,
That is true.
and intermittently, or she is fully, she's been called absconded?
She is absconded.
Okay, since that day.
Yes. Or 90 days after that comes in January, she became absconded.
She been absconded. Okay, and since she reported since the time when she was arrested?
She has not reported
Have you spoken to her at the jail?
at the hearing.
All right, did she give a reason for why she didn't report?
She did not.
At this time, I'll pass it on.
Okay, I also would like to know, Ms. Simon, were you able to confirm in any way the arrest? Obviously, she's going to say she didn't do it, and that's okay, but if she was actually just, whether an arrest happened in Florida?
Yes, I did obtain an arrest report from Florida.
PC, okay. But do you have a problem cause? Do you have a full offense?
The full officer.
Okay, for what crime was she arrested?
There's 2. I think one was petite theft and then obstruction by disguise first.
Was it all the same incident?
Yes.
And what date did that occur, according to the law?
June 29, 2025.
And were both those committed?
Objection as far as committed, Your Honor. I don't object to her listing evidence as far as an arrest.
An
As far
arrest.
as the actual commission, it could violate a right to front cross.
Did the allegation occur?
Yeah, the arrest.
The arrest occurred while she was on probation?
Kelly, this just did something again.
Case.
Correct.
And those haven't been resolved to your knowledge?
Not to my knowledge.
Judge almost looks bored, like she's sick and tired of repeat offenders that keep doing dumb things and just not showing up and dealing with the consequences. She's just like, get me out of here. Either find me something interesting to do or let me go home. I totally understand that.
Absolutely. Your Honor.
Yes.
She initially failed to report in January, is that right, of 2025?
That was the last face-to-face contact I had with him.
January 2025. Then arrest June 29th of 2025.
Yes.
So February, March, April, May, June, 5 failures to report. And she went into absconder status March of 2025?
It would be April.
April.
Like 90 days after.
90. So April 2025, she became an absconder. 2 months after that, she was arrested in Florida, is that right?
Right.
So you were aware if she was in Florida, which they, when were you made aware that she was in custody in
I
Florida?
received a phone call from somebody that let me know that she was arrested and in jail in Florida. And then that's when I obtained this arrest report.
So when did there was an MTRP entered into NCIC, I guess, after April? Was there an MTRP and that's why Florida advised you there was an active warrant for her then?
There was an active warrant for the MTRP. She was arrested for these.
Right, and that warrant popped up in June in Florida.
Correct.
So from June 29th to today, she's been in custody, is that right? So
I
she
didn't try to
couldn't
open
report
anything,
it
it just started doing stuff
to
on its
probation
own.
department. She's in custody from June 29th to today because she's locked up.
Yeah, that judge really is like, I don't want to be here. I'd rather deal with something else.
That's not her fault that she didn't report because she's in custody, correct? So she can't report.
Correct.
As far as supervising her, she has reported, you say inconsistently, but that means she has reported some, correct?
Correct.
During the times that she has reported, have you been able to interact with her appropriately? She maintain proper demeanor, that type of thing?
She was, yes, but she was consistently late. I had to reschedule her several different times to get her into the office.
Have you had any other difficulties with her as far as just maybe perhaps being late or scheduling, as far as your actual interactions? Does she maintain appropriate demeanor, acted appropriately with you?
Yes.
Would you object to continuing to supervise her?
I would.
Why is that?
My personal opinion, I don't think Ms. Tibo sees her probation as a priority. She has been on probation, I think, since 2022 and has made no progress in regards to her fees. She did some community service, and that's about it.
When you say progress, how do you measure progress?
The defendant looks like she has reached her mental capacity to be aware of what's going on. Every once in a while, it's like she picks up on something. She's like, "Oh no, I did do that. Oh, okay, back to not paying attention."
Satisfying her court order conditions.
And how has she fallen short other than the reporting and fees and fees?
If she committed
So
any
is this correct in the, hold on a second, hold on. Is in the updated report, it states that since she was granted supervision, has reported 6 times for scheduled office visits. Is that a correct number? Okay. 6 times since 2022.
I have another question, Your Honor.
Let's let Mr. Kindler finish.
If she were to be extended, which the court has the power to do, I mean, you would continue to supervise her, right? Or would you have a problem with supervising her for
I would work with her this.
See any indication of the need for some type of mental health referral or anything of that nature? I mean, I understand she's only reported 6 times, as the judge indicated. You see any kind of programs or other things that probation could do for her to maybe perhaps to get her on the right track?
I think the only other option would be the cognitive change of bias.
Pass witness.
Your Honor, is this the first time that we've been here on these 2 cases for a motion to remove?
No.
There was another time back in 2024 in which we had a hearing similar to this, not me, especially as the attorney, but she was brought in on a motion to remove, and her probation was amended, and she was given 30 days in JCC, and she was continued, and she was added to the mental health case.
The high medium risk case, and she didn't report enough to be transferred over to the high medium risk case.
So this is not even the first time that we've been here on this, on similar allegations. That was a year in 2024, we did the same deal. Is that correct?
I might follow up on that. I believe in the previous HURP, she had a motion, to get a motion to revoke. She had federal charges, is that right?
Correct.
The NTRP was filed after she received federal charges,
I believe so, yes.
and she was housed in the cell unit. Were you supervising her then?
No, it's not.
Do you know if the time?
Man, it's like a car accident that's been there for like an hour. You know, where it's not really going super fast, but the longer you look and as slowly as you pass by, the worse it gets. Every time I hear something new, she's just racking up another charge, not showing up and dealing with it. I'm finding a pretty consistent issue that people are doing, and that's just not showing up to deal with it.
Was placed on her for that NTRP while she was in federal custody?
I did not.
Did she actually do federal time while she was on probation for this case?
That is why the NTOB was dismissed.
So she received, I think, about a year sentence in federal court for misprision of felony. Is that consistent with what you know?
1 year federal probation.
Prison, she was locked up, right?
She got probation.
She had 1 year federal probation.
Probation, okay, for misprision? Or you don't know? What the offense was?
I thought it was a possession.
Anyway, she received a year of federal probation, so she was not revoked and was allowed to serve the probation concurrently.
Correct.
So during the period that she was on federal probation for that year, do you know if she was reporting to a federal probation officer, or was any issues with the federal probation you're aware of?
According to Ms. Tebow, she successfully completed her federal probation.
And that was at the same time that she was on probation with Jefferson County. Is that right?
Correct.
Was she reporting to you during that time period as well? What was her reporting record in Jefferson County during that period? I guess it was probably back in 2024.
Well, she's reported 6 whole times so obviously it wasn't great even when it was then.
But she was being supervised at least during that period federally, was able to successfully complete that probation, correct? Does that indicate to you that perhaps she could successfully complete Jefferson County probation if she's sufficiently?
She has the ability to, but whether or not she has the motivation or the want to do so.
Pass one, John.
All right, any other questions?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Ms. Simon. Any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
I would
Just notice, is it me or is that judge or not the judge? I'm sorry. The lawyer have a mohawk. Let me know in the comments if you think that's a mohawk or a comb over.
I would defer to Ms. Teagle, Your Honor. She wanted to address the court. I think she has written to the court, and that letter's incorporated in the PSI.
I received it and read it. Anything else?
No, I mean, when I did fail to report it, sometimes I was hard to schedule them, but a lot of it had to do with my mother being sick, and I brought my mother sick to her office with me multiple times because I wasn't able to just stay with where she was at. I brought her when I could. I mean, she's passed now, but at that time frame after.
But I mean, we're talking about since 2022.
I was in
Or
a
20
federal facility for a year and a day.
Okay. All right, so here's the thing. I'm not even sure where this agreement came from and why I accepted it in the first place, because giving somebody the minimum of 2 on a probation, so I have really nothing to do hardly on this.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but that looks a little bad on the judge. She doesn't even remember giving it out because she's so bored and tired of dealing with people that are repeat offenders that never show up to deal with the consequences.
But Ms. Tebow, I mean, you've been given every opportunity over the last 4 or 5 years to do everything you're supposed to on this probation, and you've refused to do that. You flat out refused, and we all have different issues that go along with parents and family members and things that go wrong. And instead of, I mean, it looks like, I think one of the things that concerns me the most is that you called June 2nd asking why the police went to your home. June 2nd you called. And so your probation officer said there's a warrant because of your violations on June 2nd. Then you went to Florida and got arrested for 2 new offenses without registering, without obviously telling anybody where you are and the type of probation you're on, the offense that you're on probation for. That's probably the number one thing that you should do. So flee in the state when you know that there is a warrant for your arrest. Gives me no reason to leave you on probation. Unfortunately, I think for me and for the community, the most I can do is 2 years, and so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find, based on the evidence today, that counts 1 and 3 are true. So I'm going to find you entered your pleas of true to 2 and 4 freely and voluntarily, find all 4 counts true. Find sufficient evidence to revoke your probation, and cause number 2239100, revoke your probation, sentence you to a term of 2 years in the institutional division of the Texas Department of Corrections. You do receive credit on that sentence for any time that you've been in custody that the law gives you the right to receive. And cause number 2239101, also find sufficient evidence to revoke your probation, and at this time revoke your probation, sentence you to 2 years in the institutional division of the Texas Department of Corrections. You will receive credit on that sentence for any time that you've been in custody that the law gives you the right to receive. These cases will run concurrently, which means together at the same time. You need to sign that, please. I'm handing you the trial court certification that shows there was no agreement. You do have some rights to appeal. You can talk to Mr. Kimler about that, and he'll give you a copy of that as soon as y'all get it signed. Thank you for being here.
Whew. Yeah, just bad decision after bad decision. That's all I heard that entire time. And by the end of it, we knew that outcome. It was inevitable. This wasn't about a single violation. This wasn't about a bad set of circumstances that led to a couple bad violations. It was years of misreporting, prior chances, and a clear pattern of ignoring probation requirements. Even after being told there was a warrant, decided to leave the state, picking up everything, and going out there and catching 2 new charges. The judge didn't escalate beyond what was allowed, but made sure that it was completely clear that skipping probation and not following all the requirements, you will be punished. 2 years may have been the maximum available here, but the message behind it was straightforward. When opportunities are repeatedly ignored, the court stops extending to them. If you want to see more drama like this, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.